Hey, this is Dr. Angela. Welcome to an extra bonus feature of the podcast. During one of my recent interviews with my patient, we got into a conversation about direct primary care. He explains why he chose the direct primary care model and how he ended up in my practice. The most relevant part here is that we're going to talk about direct primary care from a patient perspective. This could not be a more timely conversation. Can't wait to get into it. Hope you enjoyed this little brief outtake.
What brought me to direct primary care was the fact that insurance is becoming too costly, unhealthy, and the health insurance company or the industry as a whole is going in the wrong direction where doctors are becoming disconnected from their patients because insurance companies are being wedged in the middle and what's best for the patient isn't being done. I did a lot of research on the direct primary care. You can do a lot of the research on YouTube with Dr. Josh Umber, which I did. And then if you watch his videos, I mean, some of his videos are older, but they're all very, very informative. And that's what got me interested in finding out more about direct primary care. And that's when I started searching, are there any direct primary care physicians within the Grand Rapids area? And that's when I had stumbled upon Dr. Amat's practice that she was doing. And I think that was the only one at the time. Dr. Amat did a really good job with taking care of me, prior to me being your patient. And so when you took over, I know that Dr. Amat had to step away, and I don't know the extent of all that, but you took over, and I want to assume that I was probably your patient from the start.
Yeah, you were.
You took over because, I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot of lapse. When I needed refill on, some of the prescriptions I was on, I just reached out and you guys were, happy to get me enrolled and set up and get my prescriptions renewed. So it just made sense. So
awesome. Well, first of all, Dr. Amat, she's been a great resource in the whole direct primary care movement. She was one of, if not the first direct primary care practice in West Michigan. And there are currently 4 that I know of that are smaller practices. And then there's also the larger one, Christian Health Services.
Okay.
And they started right around the same time as Dr. Amat, but it's a little bit different feel. It's more of a healthcare system, but it operates on the direct primary care model as well. Prior to starting this, one of the things you asked me was how I got into direct primary care, right?
Yep.
And, for the life of me, I cannot seem to remember how I came across it. But I'll tell you the journey, the decision to pursue direct primary care started about 2 years before opening my practice. And I would say that's probably true for a lot of practitioners. So before starting my practice, I was doing the lifestyle MD thing. I was dabbling in coaching, trying to, being an entrepreneur and running a business and all that was never in my vision. And it wasn't something that doctors do, not anymore. And it seemed implausible. But when I launched my podcast, when I launched my coaching platform, my coaching business, that was kind of like, aha, oh, this whole entrepreneur thing is actually kind of fun. And it's not as scary as I thought it was. And in fact, it's enriching. And maybe I can do direct primary care. So there's a podcast called My DPC Story. She interviews a lot of DPC practices. Dr. Amat was interviewed for that podcast as well. I had spent some time interviewing, actually going around and meeting the DPC doctors that were in town. There were a couple in town that are no longer here anymore. So I had a chance to meet with a couple of those folks I mentioned earlier. And so that began my journey into exploring it. And it was about a year after that I actually made the leap and the decision to actually start my practice. So it was a little bit of a kind of like a step by step. And it was really Dr. Amat she accelerated a lot of it. She really kind of pushed and encouraged. And she and I like to talk about how it was like divine. There is certainly a divine factor. And there are a lot of faith that went into my decision and also our connection, because things that have transpired between both her and I in our businesses is certainly nothing that we could have made up or done on our own. So we're very grateful for our paths crossing the way it did.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a long-winded answer on how I got into direct primary care, but I can tell you why I ever started looking at it in the first place. It was to be able to spend more time with patients, to be in more integrity with what I set out to do in becoming a doctor in the first place.
Yeah.
And I really don't think that there's any way to do that in modern society in medicine right now, in my opinion, and still take care of people who aren't super wealthy, right?
Yeah.
There's concierge medicine, right? But that's not for me.
Yeah.
That's not my audience. No offense to anyone who's a concierge doctor or who's in a concierge practice. You just have to know your lane. And this is my lane. And I really enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, before we even started, we were talking about how the health insurance companies have kind of wedged their way in between the doctor and the patient. And that's what really kind of drove me towards looking for somebody that was in the direct primary care side of things, because we even talk about it as a whole, but the insurance industry, whether it's car insurance, homeowners, health insurance, has become more of a profit machine than it has been to actually protect the people that are buying the services. So, and it's really kind of baffling to me that the direct primary care setup or the way things are done isn't catching on more. And the sad part is I think what it is people are really dependent and even addicted to their health insurance. And that's kind of sad because it's doing more harm than it is good. Yeah.
I really truly appreciated Tom's candor in this conversation. This is not a topic I expected us to discuss, but you can see he's pretty passionate about direct primary care. I hope that you found it helpful. If you're interested in learning more about direct primary care, you can email us at info@seedsofhealthdpc.com. That is my practice, Seeds of Health Direct Primary Care. And we also have lots of great resources online about all of the wonderful direct primary care practices across the country. Take care.